I'm just gonna say this. Um, subscribe, all that jazz. DJ Kryptonite here, talking boxing. Um, you know what? Somebody who's eerily quiet in the boxing scene is Deontay Wilder, and I understand after taking an L, you're gonna be a little, it'll humble you. I get that, but for him to be almost radio silent on all things, and there's so much controversy surrounding controversial. It's so controversial um, event surrounding his first loss, his first and only loss against the Gypsy King. Um, I, I'm just a bit confused why he's so quiet. And again, I keep throwing this out there. I think Deontay Wilder was in the setup. I think he took a dive. Um, And the reason why he's not challenging the glove gate thing or the glove controversy is I think he was in on it. He was in on this garbage. He comes in there with a 50-pound suit on, then complain about how heavy it is. And then things leaking with the gloves, foam being taken out the gloves. Um, and they have pictures and video of it. People coming out the woodwork talking about his steroid use. Tyson Fury's a known cheater. He's cheated before. I don't even buy I don't buy the notion that when you get you for steroids you don't get a ban. It should be an immediate ban. Like you get a year ban, kill it. It's immediate until you kind of appeal it. So you go through the appeal process until it's a 1 year ban. Once they find the substance in your system, it's either there or it's not. No matter how it got there, it's there. So that's what they need to get some sort of more serious steroid policy as opposed to what they're doing now. Because I believe what Dillian White is now a challenger. Didn't he test positive for steroids? It's or I the boxing is becoming one of the most comical or embarrassing sports out there. For anyway, we're gonna go back to I'm getting sidetracked, and we probably I just want to stay on my man Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder, if you threw the fight, why don't you just come out? Why don't you come out and act normally? Because right now you're acting out of your element, out of the norm. Because typically you're out there out front talking, running your mouth about you the king this, I do this, I knock out people, all this jazz, and now all of a sudden you're radio silent. And the reason why you're radio silent because you took a dive and now you realize and it was a mistake. It was a bad mistake. And it may have went sideways because you probably didn't plan for the fact that the Gypsy King was going to cheat. He didn't even have to cheat because the shit was already set up. It was already mapped out that you were going to come in there, look drunk, look delusional, look weakened by the suit, and you backpedal for 5, 6 rounds, and then you get knocked on your ass. I think that's how it went. And it goes down like that. You've never backed up to anybody. I never seen you back up from the first round. Like normally you test folks. You threw the right hand, maybe I can count on one hand how many times you threw a right hand. That's your only shot at winning any fight. You have a decent jab, but your only shot is that right hand. And you threw it maybe a handful of times. That looks like a setup. You took a dive. You took a nose dive. So what did they pay you? 10, $15 million to take the dive for the Gypsy King? Because what's going to happen is I think you're going to take step aside money. It hadn't been announced yet, but you're going to take step aside money, and Tyson Fury's going to fight some. He's going to have. I think he was lining up a 2-fight deal. So it makes sense for you to step aside, and he just continue on his campaign to be the Great White Hope. The Great White Hope is going to continue on his campaign and make as much money as he can and be a show for boxing because he's more palatable. He's more acceptable in mainstream. So I think you are going to take a step aside. Take a step aside. Because then that'll just prove my theory right. Because now you're quiet, and I think that step aside money is coming. So it was probably all already predetermined anyway. Because to take the dive, take the step aside, don't honor the rematch clause, take another 10, 15 million as a step aside. So you won about 25, 20. You took a dive for another 5 or 10, and then they're going to pay you another 10 to step aside. So you really just made out. You made out. You sold your soul but you made out. So if you take the step aside money, then right here, believe that you heard it first right here, DJ Kryptonite. You are a sellout for the sport. You talked about all those people taking steroids. You know better when you're taking step aside money or you're taking dives. You're a cheater just like everybody else. If you take a dive, you're cheating. You're cheating for the other guy. So you're no better than a steroid a user when you take dives. That's just cheating too. So if you do it, if I see the step aside money, you heard it first here. DJ Kryptonite. Deontay Wilder is part of the flim flam. He's part of the okie doke. Believe it. I'm trying to tell you, boxing is getting worse than what it was. It's going back to the time when it was in the 60s. I mean, during the 60s when, the mafia was running it. In the 50s and 60s when they were throwing money at all these boxers and they taking dives and falling and getting beat the hell up for a couple of dollars, additional dollars. So now we're right back to it. All these promoters are garbage. Oh my God, it's ridiculous. Anyway, I just wanted to say that I had to get that off my chest. Deontay Wilder, you're part of the setup. You're part of the problem. If you take the step aside money, you're just as bad. And you're clowning, cooning for the man. You're selling out, man. You're selling out. Anyway, I think everybody's a sellout who takes a dive with respect to boxing. You may need the money, but in Deontay Wilder's, in his position, he didn't really need the money. He was making millions of dollars per fight, tens of millions of dollars a fight. So that was just greed. That was greed, unless you were pressured to do it. And if so, speak up. If you weren't pressured to do it, then my theory is correct. But if you were pressured to do it, speak up. But then you'll blow up the whole sport. So I guess you're doing the right thing by keeping your mouth shut. So keep quiet like you're doing. Shh. Take that step aside money. Shh. And step away from boxing. Just ease back in the corner. Shh. And just disappear. That's what you want to do anyway. DJ Kryptonite out.